Okay, so this might be the last tutorial for a while, at least until the next one. Um, Something that I wanted to do with Morphin right from the start was to do a walk cycle. I mentioned before I started in this industry as a character animator like 25 years ago now. Very quickly got out of character animation and fell into more tech roles, and then I climbed up the ladder. But I've always wanted to do animation. So this is what I wanted to do in Morphin. Was never quite capable in the past. It lacked a graph editor. Then the rotation stuff was kind of funky. 3.5 has fixed both those things. So I had a try at doing this yesterday, and sorry, this morning actually, and it all worked. So for the first time, I get to actually do what I promised to do, which is to show you how to animate a crappy walk cycle. But maybe you can do better than me. So let's go for it. So I'll do the whole thing of going from the rig right through to actually animating. I'll try to work out where I am time offset wise. So if you've already built a rig and you just want to get to the animation side, you can jump there. But anyway, let's have a go. So let's make a new scene. Pull in this character. So this is if you go into Nomad, they have incorporated the Blender default characters. So just to show that again, if I jump across back to Nomad and go new. So from this menu here, you can go up to preset up here in the corner, and you've got this bunch of preset characters. So I grab this solo female thing. So tap it, go add to scene, yes, and that's where she came from. Cool. So let's go back over to Morphin. So we have to, as always, make a rig. So I'm going to get into ortho view, make sure I'm straight from looking down the front of this character, and we'll make a new empty rig and turn on gestures every time. Okay, so this bone will be the hips. So I'll put it roughly where the hips should go. Scale it down. I'm going to keep this relatively simple. So we'll do one bone to represent the spine. So I'll scale this one up. And just one for the head. That'll be fine. Then going to make, going to branch from here. Put this in the shoulder. So, obviously if I were a better rigger, a better animator, I would put in collarbones and clavicles and all that kind of jazz. I'm just going for simple. I'm going to put slightly more bones than I had in that walk cycle that I just showed you. So I'll do upper arm, lower arm, and hand. Okay, so that's done. Let's go down to the legs. So make another child of this bone, move it to where the hip joint would be, turn this around, scale it up, rotate that a little bit, just a bit, rotate this just a bit, get about there, and then let's go to a side view, fix that, make a child, turn it around, put it to the ball of the foot, like about that, and one more, and that's the foot, and I'll scale it back so that it meets the toe. Okay, then look at it in 3D space, because inevitably things aren't quite lined up. I will use, now that I sort of trust this a bit more, I'll use this node mode so I can correct it from multiple angles and just do it directly in space. So this should probably be stretched back a little bit. That hip looks pretty good. The ankle is probably a bit too far back, so I'll just drift that forward a touch. Look from the front, yeah, this is definitely wrong. That should be there. That should be, come on, about there. It's probably a bit too low on this side. Okay, that's looking not too bad. So the knee, just make sure that looks correct. So it's maybe a bit too high now. Yeah, it's better. Okay. And if we're going up here, so these bones are completely out. So that to there, this one to there, this one to there, and lastly, the tip can go to there. And just check the head and neck placement. It's all very wrong. So that should be in the center of the neck. And I think we'll call that done. So go back into regular mode. So I'm going to test something. I'm not sure if I have to relink or not. Let's just do it anyway. Seems to be happy. Okay, Let's get back into ortho from the front, and we'll mirror some of these bones. Not a split, silly. It's a clone. Hierarchy across X, sure. And this one, this is a clone across X, sure. Okay. So it's done something slightly funky with the rotation there, and oh, that's completely broken. So let's run that same operation again. This one, and then relink bones. Yeah, it's better. So the scale is wrong, but the orientation is right. So I'm learning, you're learning, we're all learning together. So let's choose that hand bone and scale it up. And this one as well. And do the same for the feet. And I will do, oh, hello, not that one, this one. Little teeny tiny toe bone there. Come on, fine, I'll choose it from here. Bone 10. Scale it up and do the same over here. Choose the child. So pick selection for small things seems to be a little bit problematic in Morphin, but you know, I can get to it with the outliner, so that's fine. Okay, I think that's probably good enough. Oh, that head is too small. That's better. Am I going to name the joints? Naming is for boring people. Let's just do a bind now. So I'll find the body mesh, put a tick next to it, go across to the bind menu and hit auto weight. Should be pretty quick. Wait. Okay, cool. Let's do a quick wiggle. That looks okay. Let's grab the arm. That looks okay. Grab the head. That looks okay. Excellent. Just do the hand. Just why not? Yep, the hand looks good as well. And I'll try the foot as good as I should. That's a wacky orientation, but it's probably fine. We'll find out together. Okay, so and then one more thing I'll do is I'll set up the IK bones, which I think is probably better to do this way after the fact, so that these bones don't get any weight on them. So I'll make a child bone of this one, and I will spin it to the back and scale it down. And I'll do the same for this one. Make a child bone. Whoops. Spin it to the back. Scale it down. Okay, and that's what I use for my IK. I'll try and make these a little bit closer in size. Okie dokes. And I will save this now. So save as walk tutorial bind. Okay, and then let's make IK. So just hide the handles for a sec. Go to constraints, IK, from that bone, auto create, and link, apply. Do the same for the other one. Come on. That handle is getting in the way. So why don't I just fix that quickly? So grab that one and I'll scale it smaller. So you can see that the handle's too big for the foot, so I can just grab it directly in the outliner. So it's the default controller shape, and I can scale it down. So now it's not in the way. So now I should be able to choose this bone. There we are. Constraints, that's the effector. Apply OK. Again, that handle's too big, so we'll go to the default controller and we will scale it down. So it feels about the same as the first one. Okay, and then we will do the bind pose update. So we're going to pull the pole vectors quite forward. Oops, that one there. Yep, and scale it down. And just because I know what I'm going to be doing with a walk later, we'll drop these down a bit lower as well, so that they're kind of, so that the knees always know to face sort of forward and down a bit. Let's get completely ortho just so we can, I might just get them separate so that they're easy to choose if I need to choose them. Okay, so I'm going to bake that bind pose. So go to bind and then bind. So that's my bind pose set. And the last thing I'll do is I will set up rotation constraints so that the feet will try and follow the wireframe box rotation. So I'm going to choose the handle constraint. I'll pin this. I'm going to go across to the rotation constraints. That's the source. This is the target, the foot itself. No, not that one, the one above it. Not that one. There. And keep the offset and go apply. Cool. And do the same on the side. So this is the target, this is the child, and go apply. And that should be it. So that's at 10 minutes. So Matt, remember for later, put the time offset at 10 minutes to start animating. So what I should be able to do now is I can rotate these. Oops, make sure I choose the bone, choose the handle. And so I can see that the foot rotates with the handle, which is good. But I can also pick up the foot and animate it. That's good. And I can grab the hips and I can wiggle them through space. So it's all working as I would like it to. Something that I didn't do, like an idiot, was drop it to the ground. I should always start with that. But that's fine. So we'll just do a bit of post animation here. So I'll drop that down to there, drop that down to there, go to the front view, grab the hips, pull them down until it starts to sag through a bit. And that's probably good to go. Okay. And I might even save that as the bind pose now. So we go again, bind and bind. So if we need to, we can always reset to here. Okay, so I'm going to animate over 40 frames. And I was trying to use the grid as a bit of a guide just to make sure I don't go too far forward or back. Let's just get started. Let's talk, or do. So if I key in default mode, it'll set keys on both translation and rotation, and I think even scale, which is what I want here. So I'm going to grab a foot, and I'm going to put 1 foot forward, and I'm going to use this line here as the kind of the width of my walk. So it's a rather tentative walk, like she needs to do a wee or something. So go about there and there. So I'll set a key on the back foot and a key on the front foot, and I'm going to go to the end of the to frame 40, and I'll key those as well there. And then go to frame 20, and that's where the feet should swap. So, you know, little must-haves for some version of Morphin in the future would be to be able to copy and paste keyframes between different objects. But for now, we're just going to do this kind of stuff, which is fine. So key and key. So now, there you go. Raw cycle. That's the end of my tutorial. No, it's not. We can make this better. Okay, so what we need to do is we can think about, you know, what is the passing position. You know, these are half-remembered concepts from Animator's Handbook and stuff. Passing position, and to get nice rotation on the foot as just before it lands and as it's sort of lifting off at the back. So if we look at the back foot, for example, halfway through here, when we get to this passing position, that foot should be in the air. So we'll lift that up, and the toe should be sort of like dragging down. It should be like sort of, you know, falling through with it. I should do it in the axis that I'm seeing here. So the foot would normally be there, and then by this point it should be like sort of toes nearly pointing straight down. So we will rotate that to point straight down-ish and set a key. So let's have a look. So that to that, and then when we get to this point, that's where it should be a heel strike, and then it's going to plop down. So just before we get to that frame, say there, we'll rotate this back to get that sort of that heel strike kind of motion. So the key there. Let's have a look. So we go pass through, heel down, and then bang. So that's kind of what we want. So that's kind of that foot done. Let's do the other foot. So this foot from here to there, it's always going to be on the ground. Then we get to the passing position. That's where, again, we're going to lift it up. And whoops, not that axis, going to turn it this way. So it's sort of dragging behind. Set a key. And then just before we get to there, we rewind a couple of frames, set up a heel strike, like that, and key. That's it, we're done. So that's kind of right. So this kind of slightly herky-jerky motion is from the default interpolation that Morphin does, which actually, I kind of like it because it makes it look sort of snappy, so you can see very clearly where your keys are. But we can have it auto fix up the tangents so that the motion is nice and smooth. So if we bring up the graph editor for this foot and go to the position keys, you can see that all these tangents are flat. So if I go to compute tangents, now we get nice smooth tangents, but then we have to take care of the cycle ourselves. So you can see here that while this is sort of coming in, well, if we just play it, you'll see that there's a kick between sort of the last frame here and then going back to the first frame where this tangent isn't quite smooth enough. So I'm just going to try and smooth off that tangent there. I might even zoom in here and make sure this one is nearly flat as well, so that we should get on that foot there that I'm following with my cursor. That's now looking smoother as we cycle through, so that's good. And I'll do the same for the other foot. So let's look at the graph editor. I'll compute the tangents and make sure that at the where the loop happens, that this loops cleanly. So that is now kind of smoothish. Let's see how that looks. So I've done auto tangents for the positions, but not for the rotations. So let's make sure we do that as well. So we go into rotation, and you can see here these tangents are a bit funky. So we'll compute tangents, make sure this matches smoothly at the start and end of the loop. And that does now. That's looking better. And do the same for the other foot. So there, we're in rotation still, compute auto tangents, and just make sure that down here that this is kind of coming to a stop. So that's not too bad. Okay, so next thing we can do is work on the hips. So maybe I'll go from the front here. So let's assume, so again, my limited memory of how this works is this is sort of the lowest point because the feet are furthest apart. And here at the passing position is going to be the highest points of the walk. And the leg which is making contact should be pretty much straight. So I'm going to set a key there, and I'll set a matching key at the end as well so that we get a loop. Then at the passing positions, so about there, I'm going to lift the body so that the leg is as straight as it can be. Now I can see I'm kind of fighting the system a little bit here because if I start to lift it, the foot starts to lift before we get full extension on the leg. So we've got to just go for a best compromise there, but that'll probably do. So that's, and it's rotation keys, idiot. Always got to look here. This key mode position tells you what you're keying. So I forgot that I wasn't actually setting keys. So set a key there, set a key there, and then in the middle, that's where we're going to lift it up like that. In fact, if anything, that should probably be lower there. So just kind of there. Set a key, and I'm going to copy that key and paste it at the end. See how that feels. Okay, that's not bad. So we should also copy that key in the middle here. And then this lifted key we'll put in the same passing position for the other leg. So about frame 30. Paste. Cool. So that's not too bad. Again, we'll have the flat tangents, which actually probably here is all right. That feels like that's what he should be doing. She should be doing. Then we can try and introduce a bit of rotation. So if that's the leg that's forward, then we should be rotating a little bit this way so that the hips are leaning into the forward leg. So make sure I'm only keying rotation, and I'll set a key, copy that key, paste it at the end, delete this key because this is a spurious one, and then in the middle, rotate it the other way so that that leg is leading, and set a key. So that is kind of okay. Then we can grab the upper body and we can counter rotate it so that the head is almost kind of always staying forward. So if I counter rotate that the other way, so that we'll get a natural bit of like a shoulder swing. So I'll set a key there, set a matching key at the end, and in the middle, have her turn the other way. So she's kind of like that, and key. So that looks, so kind of getting there. And then lastly, if I view purely from the front, the head is going to sort of counter animate all of this. So the head should always be facing forward. So I could use something like a separate look at constraint, but we're just going to go straight ahead, just with FK and old-fashioned keyframing like Mum used to make. So I'm going to rotate this forward to about there, set a key, set a matching key at the end, and in the middle, correct for that. So it faces forward, set a key. How are we doing? Okay, and this probably now should start to look through the perspective camera and the grid and see how we're doing. Turn that off. That's not bad. Last few things, just I guess do the arms now. So let's go to that frame there. So if this leg is forward, that arm should be rotating back. So go to rotation keys, and I will rotate that back. Whoops, didn't get the x-axis properly. There we go, like that. So not too much. So key to the end, key, go to the middle, and we'll swing the arm forward. About there. Then do the same but opposite for the other arm. So if this leg is forward, this arm should be back, but let's make sure we do it from the start. So if that leg is back, the arm should be forward. Set a key, set a matching key at the end, and then in the middle, rotate the arm opposite, like that, and key. So that is kind of the walk cycle. So that's the basics. And then you get into, all the sort of drifts and things. So, strictly speaking, you would maybe try and offset the timing of the rotation keys for the arms. That's a little tricky here because we don't have cycle types. So normally you would sort of set a key and then drift it all by 2 frames so that it happens slightly behind the hips and stuff. But I think I just want to prove that the basics of doing animation tutorials that I learned like 20 something years ago in Maya, they apply perfectly fine inside Morphin. So if you look on YouTube, I'm sure there's going to be infinite tutorials out there for learning how to do walk cycles. But just to show where the buttons are and stuff, it all works here. So yeah, hope that helps.